talk to me a little bit about what it was like to be involved in the process of Primavera and exhibiting at the MCA and in the context of the tour?
Well, it was an amazing experience on a lot of different levels, I suppose. The most kind of striking thing, or maybe even the most beautifully unexpected thing I found in working with you and then meeting the other artists as well, was how relaxed and how much everyone's personalities gelled really well. The work being what it is, I was just really fascinated at how you as a curator could pick people according to their practices, but then how it's something about the personality of everyone in relation to those practices merged really well, or came together in a nice way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
No clashing. I found that really interesting because I never kind of experienced that sort of personal side of that through being involved in curated projects before.
Do you think Primavera is seen by young artists as being a really important, and I always hate this term, but stepping stone for their work and their sort of exposure?
Yeah, I'd say, yeah. Personally, I was quite, thrilled to be. I remember talking to you initially about the prospect of, being included into it I found quite, exhilarating, myself. So yeah, being involved in it was really lovely, and I think it holds that kind of, esteem. Could be, it's a way to talk about it. Yeah, I think it's just, I think it's a stepping stone. I hope so.
Well, let's talk about your work. When I walked into your studio to meet you that time, you were weaving, which was sort of like, that ticked a big box.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And this work was actually about to be exhibited, and I found this work amazingly interesting because on one level it's got this sense of monumentality around it, and yet it's incredibly detailed and quite obsessive, and it relates, I found, those sort of references to kind of Native American or Inuit or non-Western or tribal or ritualized sort of societies and their culture and visual language. Can you explain a little bit about this work and its sort of aesthetics as well as the kind of conceptual element? Yeah,
I think I thought I was really lucky that meeting you that day, how it coincided so beautifully with this work having to be already installed on that nice big wall, because my studio was so small as well. It would have been there's no way you would have been able to kind of grasp the size of it and everything. It's like I wonder what would have happened if that work wasn't up. But yeah, and I was weaving at that time in the studio because I was so over drawing as well, because I did get completely wrapped up in the project, and also designed it initially that it's kind of modular as well. So I started it without potentially having an endpoint to it as well, because I could just work on each panel with this set sort of aesthetic structure of the water and the mountains and the sky and the characters with the speech bubbles. So in that structure I could take each piece and kind of inject little differences of what was happening and what was being said and the different animals and stuff that were popping up. And I remember at the time also, I remember sort of having, a lot of it took me by surprise as I was doing it. It kind of, I got so wrapped up in it. It kind of it directed me as much as I was directing what was happening. So then when it was finished, I sort of realised what I had put in it through what I was interested in at the time without knowing it. So I was interested in all those primitive cultures and the arts and crafts that they produced, but also at the time had started looking at Hieronymus Bosch and his epic kind of landscapes, and then also The Simpsons as well. So it's like without realising it particularly, it's like I had actually drawn a bunch of sort of Simpson-esque cartoon characters into like it's like a Simpsons Hieronymus Bosch kind of take on that thing, and wasn't 100% conscious of that at the time that it was being made.